Friends, it's good to be here. I'm going to admit right off the bat, I'm here for ulterior motive. I have an ulterior motive for being here tonight. I'm actually here as part of my campaign to bring back the old Big 8 conference. I was at K-State earlier in the year, was able to talk to them. I mean, Mizzou, Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, Kansas, Kansas State, Iowa State, Nebraska, Colorado. That's a real conference. I think we can trace any decline that's happened in our country to the demise of the Big 8. My introduction to Lincoln, Nebraska took place as a young kid when our local parish priest, Father Ray Learman, a great and holy country priest, would bring copies of The Wanderer to my grandma and grandpa's house. And of course, you're a kid at your grandma and grandpa's house trying to figure out things to do. And so I would pick up copies of The Wanderer and see the name Bishop Fabian Bruskowitz. And I'd think, where is Lincoln, Nebraska? And I don't tell my Jesuit superiors that I was formed on reading The Wanderer, first off. But reading what he had to say, you could tell that the message was clear that things were off track because of the fact that we had forgotten certain basic truths and basic practices, and that the church needed to recommit itself to the basics. So this was my introduction to the archdiocese, or to the Diocese of Lincoln. Now, fast forward in life, and as I got involved with Focus, I began meeting all of these Nebraskans. And pretty soon, I was talking about the good life. Knew all about the good life. Started keeping up with pious sports and all of the random aspects that go into being a Lincolnite. And you all have probably, you've heard the story before that Father Mattia, when he was assigned here, said, what are we going to do? What are we going to do to reach out to students? And he gets a little mailing that has Scott Hahn on it talking about this new group called Focus. Says, well, might as well try it. What the heck? And was the third campus to bring Focus on board. Took a chance very early on, and that relationship has been blessedly fruitful over the years. So really, more than anything, I am here tonight to express a profound gratitude for what has taken place here over the years. The beautiful things that Father Mattia made possible in this ministry, and then passed on to Father Kaup. And Father Mattia, we very much miss you in this ministry and at this location. Although I do have to say, when we send out all of our video crews to take videos around the country, Father Kaup is more photogenic, and so we are grateful. We are grateful for that part of the ministry. The impact of what you are doing here is evident, and Father Kaup mentioned part of it, that last year, for the first time in Focus's history, we had two campuses with 1,000 students who had been to Bible study. Just unbelievable. It was amazing. And now this year, I do think that there was a little bit, it kind of got under their craw that, while they did pass 1,000, Texas A&M beat them to 1,000. So this year they weren't messing around, and so even though the University of Illinois got off to a fast start, as Father Kaut mentioned, as of an hour ago, Anders got all of his reporting in, and now UNL is number 1 in the country. So. Over the summer, I heard about this political study. Have you ever heard this political science theory? That if you can get 3.5% of a country's population to show up at a political rally, that you can change the government? It's a very common political theory out there with a number of examples. And so it got me thinking, well, what about if we're not in the realm of power politics and stuff of that nature? What about if we're just thinking of changing a culture, winning people over to the love of God? And how does that play out in what we're doing around the country? And so I just started running a few numbers. I said, where do we get to 3.5%? And lo and behold, that at Nebraska-Lincoln last year, 3.5% of the student body not just attended Bible study, but attended Bible study regularly. By far the largest university in the country where that's the case. And just imagine the impact on a culture when students are regularly coming together to pray, to encounter Jesus in the Scripture, to support one another. And then these students are going out into their classes. These are the students who are going out encountering people. What is happening here will change the culture of this school. And from there, the culture of the diocese. But I don't want to stop there. What is happening beyond UNL, beyond Lincoln, Nebraska? What is the impact that the mission is having beyond these walls? Over the years, more than 200 Nebraska students have become focused missionaries and have gone out around this country and even around the world to bring the gospel to others. I was asking some of the people around the office, what are different ways that we can illustrate the impact? I was talking to Brendan Pond, who's over there, who said, well, why don't you tell them a story about me? Oh, great idea, Brendan. But think about this, that, through the work of our staff, Brendan and others, we started the ministry at schools like, believe it or not, Iowa, as was mentioned, Iowa State. I don't get the Nebraska-Iowa hate here. I was told last year that for Nebraskans, Iowa stands for in Omaha without authorization. Brendan Pond, Nebraska grad. Liz Foley, Nebraska grad at Iowa, team director at Iowa State. Others have started that ministry, and now, here in the front we have Luke Farmer, who went through that program at Iowa and now has been sent back here to Nebraska and is leading students here at UNL. That the graces and the blessings are flowing out into the rest of the country, but also flowing back, and the blessings are returning. Or just think about my own day. My own day often begins with walking in, saying hi to Liz Foley, who, by the way, runs Focus now. I don't know if you knew this. Anybody who knows Liz wouldn't be surprised. And then it could entail a meeting about alumni outreach with Josh Santo. If you don't know Josh, he's Ben Santo's brother. The day could then go on to a meeting about recruitment with Ann Wagner and Eric Zimmerman. Maybe a message that gets sent to another person who basically runs Focus, Catherine Nordhughes, also Nebraska grad. A meeting on the Bosco project with John Brackenhoff, Nebraska grad. That within the apostolate of Focus, the graduates of this school have played a vital and essential role in the past, in the present, and will in the future. Consider the impact of what you did in building this beautiful church. The 3 years ago, when we had Focus new staff training here, we gathered all of the chaplains who came and visited together to give them a presentation on the work you did here. And they asked the chaplains that were present, how many of you are considering building your own churches and doing projects in the future? And I believe the responses came back 40 to 50. And if you look out across the country, NDSU, KSU, Oklahoma State, all of the Big Eight is going to get new churches here. Kansas State, Oklahoma State, just a few more to go. That all of these places are taking inspiration from what you accomplished here and bringing that to their schools. It's going out across the country. When I think about the identity or the mission that we find here, the first thing that comes to my mind is that, with the exception of people like Josh Santo, Rob Cargill, and Father Robert Freschel, you prove that it's possible to be normal and holy. I won't say which of the two they fail in. There is that message that you just get by being around the graduates here, that following Jesus is something that just makes you a fuller human being, makes you more yourself. It is a low drama mission. Another aspect of the identity here, and going back to the message I took years and years ago reading The Wanderer, the basics work. When we get off track as a church and as a culture, it's when we forget the basics. And you've heard a number of times today about the importance of adoration, the importance of just teaching people how to pray, teaching people virtue, bringing people to the sacraments, forming them in Christian friendship and fellowship. It's not crazy. It's not rocket science. It's things that are basic and good and upbuilding. And the final aspect of the mission that I see here is the goodness of missionary discipleship. That from the beginning, there has always been the conviction with what you've received to bring it to the world. But the way you bring it to the world is not through 1,000 people at the same time. It's through those 3-4 people that you know by name. Investing in them, sharing life with them, bringing them to Jesus, and inspiring them to do the same. And those windows in your church are illustrations of that. Of St. Paul with Timothy, of St. Ignatius and St. Francis Xavier, of the discipler and the disciple, together on this path to God. The mission and the fruitfulness, the meaning of this place to y'all can be summed up in some of the numbers that I've cited. But my guess is that the impact of this Newman Center is summed up more in faces. The people that you have come to know, the people who have blessed your life, the people who've been a blessing to you. And that is at the heart of the church. That together we can come to know the salvation of Jesus, and we can be known and loved and cared for along the way. And the reason why this is such a joyful occasion is it is because the people here can look around and see others who have known, loved, and cared for them. The support that you are giving to this ministry is making a profound difference. It is changing the world, not in a political way, not in the ways of the world, but in the ways of the gospel, which are filled with joy and goodness and peace. This passage from Philippians, I just want to read, because it was what stood out to me as I was praying about this talk. And imagine St. Paul having you in mind as he writes it. So then, my beloved, obedient as you have always been, not only when I am present, but all the more now, when I am absent, work out your salvation with fear and trembling. For God is the one who, for his good purpose, works in you both to desire and to work. Do everything without grumbling or questioning, that you may be blameless and innocent, children of God without blemish, in the midst of a crooked and perverse generation, among whom you shine like lights in the world, as you hold on to the word of life, so that my boast for the day of Christ may be that I did not run in vain or labor in vain. But even if I am poured out as a libation upon the sacrificial service of your faith, I rejoice and share my joy with all of you. In the same way, you also should rejoice and share your joy with me. The one thing that I want to express to you from the fullness of my heart is a deep and profound gratitude for the way that your faithfulness has blessed the church, the way it has blessed Focus as an apostolate, and the way it has blessed me, individual, with the faces of the wonderful people that I've gotten to know over the years. And so tonight is a night when we can rejoice. Rejoice and be glad. God is here amongst us. God bless you all.